Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Sport Business Lab. Today, in this episode, we have a very, very special guest that I have also the honor to call my professor and my tutor. But I'll get to him a bit later. And first, Amit, how have you been doing? A few episodes out. Yeah, how are you feeling?
Yeah, doing good. Excellent. Good that we got few episodes under the belt now, and I am also very excited about the session today. And one of the reasons I'm very excited is because Juan has been doing all the questioning with us during the program. Now it is our turn to turn the tables on him and ask some questions to Juan. And thank you so much, Juan, for taking out the time today and being here with us.
My pleasure, and thank you very much for having me here in this adventure that I am really enjoy. That two great students as you have this idea. I mean, so proactive in these terms. So congratulations on the program, the sessions, and look forward to participate.
Perfect, Juan. So if you can tell us a bit more about your journey, how you came to sports. I know that you had a lot of experience in Spain, but also outside of Spain, in different projects, in different also studies that you did. So if you can walk us through a bit, that would be amazing.
Sure, as many of you and the new people trying to join the sports market, the sports industry, which is amazing. I've been doing this for all my life. Start playing football in school. I was not very good. Then I moved into basketball. I really found my place in basketball. I play high school and college at quite a very good level here in Madrid. Never been professional. Has the experience to play the game for the federation, and also got the opportunity to meet so many people. Then I moved to Manchester, and that was the closer I was to professionalism, because in Manchester I played for the first division league in England. Of course, that was in early 90s, and the English league was not very strong. A few Americans coming from the NCAA who couldn't make it to the NBA. Some foreigners from especially Italy, Spain, and Greece, that were the more dominant countries at that time. And I was one of them. I spent 1 year in Manchester, and at the same time that I was finishing my studies, graduating in business and economics. And then, well, when I started my professional life, I wanted to be close to sports. That's why I always trying to pursue and contact different organizations. Being a Real Madrid fan and a Real Madrid member, I wanted to be close to Real Madrid as well. And I had different experiences until I got into the sport industry, focusing on basketball. My background, I was leading several basketball clubs here in the area, some of the basketball academies. I was moving the business models into a more professionalism way of doing things, because the structures of amateur basketball here in Spain were not very professional. So we complete some of the projects very successfully. Nike was growing in the business. Now still working for some of those clubs, but also work for the Basketball Federation here in Madrid. And then I had the opportunity to work with Real Madrid Business School and start teaching classes. Those teaching experiences, moving to collaborate a little bit more with the school and organizing trips. And now, as a program director, still working with them, business consultant myself in sports. So that's my life. Always close to sports, close to students. The two areas that I feel more comfortable: education and managing in the sport industry. My specialization is in sponsorship, and try to generate additional revenue for those organizations. It's a consultancy business where I analyze what the needs are in the market, and I try to help with my experience and some of the tools that we can put in the market in order to generate additional revenue that is going to make the different sports models to grow.
Great, amazing.
Long story
Um,
short, that's for sure. I mean, I'm 56. I started in this business when I was 25. So you can imagine how many experiences we had along the way. And also, one of the greatest experiences is having the opportunity to work with the new generations. You guys, you got the future ahead of you. The sport industry still needs a lot of improvements, and that's on your hands now.
Juan, you are really kind. You said you are the next generation. I don't think I'm too far behind you, but those are really kind words. And in fact, I wanted to come back to that because you mentioned like you have been in the industry for so long. I was telling Rafa before the podcast that I saw an old video of yours about 10 years ago taking a class at Universidad Europea Real Madrid, and you look the same. You have not aged much, Juan. Seriously, what is the fountain of youth that you have discovered that you can share with us as well?
I think I mentioned to you when sometimes, uh, when you discuss with people your age, what are your next goals, what you want to do in life, what is the ideal life you want to have. Many of my colleagues who we're going out with, they're thinking about what are they going to do when they retire. They're thinking about, well, maybe playing more golf, maybe going to resorts, traveling around the world, doing other things that are not related to the industry. And I always tell them that I really want to be involved in new projects. And that's probably one of the secrets that I don't want to get retired. And the other secret is being around young people. Because when you're around young people, this energy is something that you can experience yourself as well. When you are around people who has a lot of energy and have a lot of projects going on, new ideas, that's what. But thank you very much for the compliment. I disagree. When I see pictures of myself 10 years ago, I see myself like a kid. Also, of course, practicing sports and eating well, health, that healthy stuff. That also helps. So these good habits. My kids are 21, and you know that I have two kids. They're twins, and we practice sports together. We talk about sport. We go to sports events, and that keeps your energy at a high level.
Yeah, that's amazing. We would definitely come to that about your habits and all. But since you mentioned about all the things that you are doing, Juan, I was curious. You are wearing three hats right now, right? You are with the Basketball Federation in Madrid, you are with Universidad Europea, and you also have your own venture. So you are doing three things. Which is the thing that gives you the most excitement, and which is the thing that gives you a little bit of stress?
Well, actually, it looks like three things, and that's something that keep talking about my kids. I mean, when they were younger, they were telling me, "Hey, Dad, how many jobs do you have?" Okay, and I said, "Well, I only have one job, that is being part of the sport industry, but I'm touching different areas, and they're all linked to each other. So when I'm teaching in class, and you have experience with me at the beginning of this MBA program." When I'm teaching in class, I'm telling you about my experience. I'm using real examples. I'm using real case studies. So for me, teaching and working in as a consultant is more or less the same thing. Uh, that's when I'm talking to students. But then when I go back to the business in the Basketball Federation, I tell my colleagues, okay, we're going to do things that we are studying in the MBA program, because this is a learning process that never ends. People think that when they finish college or when they finish an MBA program, they are done with the studies, but you need to keep yourself up to date. You need to be aware of what's going on in the market. So you never finish studying the market, doing the market research, exploring new opportunities, talking to people about different strategies, and then try to apply all these learning process. The part that you're doing with your own market research, but also the part you're doing when you're networking with people, and then you apply this to job. If you're asking me what is the part of my job that I dislike the most, probably is the bureaucracy. When I need to go back my own business, and I need to talk to my different advisors in terms of paying taxes or going through the process with invoices and things like that. The bureaucracy, the paperwork is the thing that I like the less. I know it's important, and we need to know. We need to be aware of that. But if you ask me for something that I really dislike, is this. But then the networking, going to events, talking to people in the business, teaching. That's something that I love, and I'm gonna keep doing this as long as I can, and as long as people like you invite me to their programs or projects or whatever it is.
That's great. Great. Thank you. And actually, talking about that and also about your journey, brings me like some questions, and also just talking now about your classes and the classes that we had. There were a few that really stuck out to me. And also relating to your job at the federation, I think like we did. I mean, we did uh, it was a project about an amateur club, and actually Amit and I worked together in that project, and we went to Alcobendas, yeah, here in the region of Madrid, and we learned how it works, how the club works. We met with Isabel, the director there, and one of the main takeaway that we took, I think, at least for that club. Of course, every club has its own particularity and the problems that they face, but this one was also about like more revenue, more money coming in to the club. And you mentioned your biggest work in the federation is also about sponsorships, so it is one of the biggest lines of revenue that a club or almost anything in sports can actually have. So can you tell us a bit more, like how is it that work? Like, are you responsible mostly for the federation, or do you also help the clubs to gather that those partners, that not only sponsorship but partnerships nowadays, that they're becoming even more and more about experiences and so on. So yeah, if you can maybe develop a bit more into that, would be great as well to hear.
Sure. Yes. Thank you for asking. Because when we talk about amateur sports, we all think about kind of organizations that are not looking for profit, of course, that they do not care about revenue, and that's a big, big mistake because all kind of non-for-profit organization need to generate revenue in order to be able to do all the things that are part of your main objectives, your business model. Um, the main objective of an amateur organization, whether it's in football or basketball, like the example you are sharing with us today, is to develop the talent, develop the skills, and compete at the highest level possible. That is going to generate the new players of the future. When I say the new players of the future, I'm not talking only about the ones who are going to make it to professionalism, playing the NBA or playing the Spanish La Liga, but also people who are going to work at local level and they're going to sports for them and the practice of basketball in this with this example is going to be part of their life. So even if you don't become professional in the future, the sport could be together with you, could be part of your life, could be part of your learning experience for the rest of your professional career. And that's why this is the main reason why generating revenue is important, because the more money you are able to generate, the more activities you're going to be able to give back to the society, to give back to the community, and the more kids are going to be enrolled in these programs. Uh, of course, revenue in amateur sports business comes from different ways. Most of the revenue comes from the fees the parents pay, which is important, and we need to provide a quality service that they are gonna make these parents be happy with this service we provide to the kids, and also the kids happy with their performance, their practice, their coaches, their facilities, and everything. Sponsors, obviously, here we're looking for uh, local sponsors or global sponsors who are interested in acting locally. And this is the area where I can help and the federation can help as well, because the federation is also a non-for-profit organization. Our main goal is to help the basketball clubs at the highest level possible. Sometimes we can, like if we generate sponsors only for the federation, that's going to make it possible for the parents and for the clubs to pay lower fees. But sometimes we help directly to those clubs, because those sponsors who are interested in acting locally, they may be or may need our advice in order to identify where are the clubs that are going to be able to generate this visibility for them, or they're going to be able to generate traffic to their business, services, products, whatever they selling, and also put them in the map in order for the citizens to understand that these companies, specific companies, care about the society, care about the community, and they're gonna put the focus on the social responsibility. So these are the main three areas that we looking at when we're connecting with potential sponsors. And obviously, since this is practice of sports, they're not professional players involved. So you have 100% guarantee that the money you invest in these organizations are going to be used in the terms of promoting the game of basketball.
That's very interesting, because it's I think when that's also because more and more it's becoming partnership instead of sponsorship, that it's let's say a two-way street, right? So it's not only the club or the institution that is just looking for the sponsors, but the sponsors also want to be there. They want to be part of that show that responsibility, as you mentioned, that they care and so on. And staying in basketball, you mentioned also that you lived in Manchester for a year, and now we have all the discussions about NBA Europe. And Manchester also is one of the cities that they want to put back, let's say, in the map of basketball in Europe. That for a while, let's say, today is not really a city that has the biggest clubs in basketball. So how do you see that? How do you see NBA Europe coming here? There's a lot of rumors going around. We have discussed a lot of in class, but it's a topic that it's for me. It's also very interesting. It's really redefining a global sport, but coming from the, let's say, NBA, coming from the US, which is like the most successful and yeah, in this.
Yes, I agree with you. I mean, this is a very interesting process. I'm learning a lot myself by looking at what's going on. Try to talk to different people, different sources. I got people inside the Spanish Federation that one way or another they're gonna be involved because the Spanish Federation is an important organization inside FIBA Europe, and definitely FIBA Europe has to be involved. Also, the connections that I got because the president of the Spanish Federation for many years was Carvajosa, who is a former player of the NBA, a former player of Real Madrid and several teams. He won several gold medals with the Spanish national team. He was president of the Spanish Federation for a while, and then he moved to be the president of FIBA Europe. So he's going to be one of the actors that is negotiating in this, what we call a triangle. The European basketball, the federations, and the NBA. And you need to get an agreement. Obviously, we saw very interesting moves in the few months since they was announced. The first move was just taking the picture, FIBA together with NBA. Hey, they didn't tell us what they're gonna do, but they just took the picture of the executives talking to each other, shaking hands, and saying we are in the process of making a collaboration. Then the other part of the triangle is EuroLeague. So the EuroLeague used to have a chief executive officer that was against the idea of negotiating with FIBA. This guy was fired. And then we brought another actor, the new chief executive officer, who happens to be Chus Bueno, another Spaniard. And Chus Bueno was general manager of the Basketball Federation before Garbajosa was in the process. But then after that, he joined the NBA. So it's kind of this kind of political movement that we identify who are the key actors and how much they know about the other organizations, and we put them together on the same table. That means that the three organizations are open to talk. They're making moves in order to make it easier, this dialogue between the three parts. And then it's for us, for the fans, for the supporters, for the clubs themselves. Okay, the next move was the EuroLeague trying to renew all the contracts, especially for the teams that got the license A, the big teams like Real Madrid, Barcelona, Panathinaikos, Olympiacos, the Turkish teams, the strongest teams in the league, and they all agreed to be part of the EuroLeague next season. So if the NBA lands in Europe, well, they're going to find themselves in an environment where all the teams are together and all the teams are part of the EuroLeague. But then on the other hand, the NBA is thinking about new markets. The one you mentioned, Manchester, new market, London, new market. Not that London doesn't have a team, but that team from London, the London Lions, never participate in the EuroLeague because they are maybe at the second level. So if the NBA is behind the support of these new markets to be part of the EuroLeague, maybe the EuroLeague is also going to be interested because you're not going to say no to new markets like London or Paris if they have a new project. But we already have a game in Paris, team in Paris. So I think it's still in the early days for this, still negotiations. And NBA is a very attractive brand, but never forget that we're talking about NBA Europe. And NBA Europe is not going to be considered a division of the NBA. It's not going to be considered a European conference. NBA is 30 teams. They have their own expansion process that are going to probably add two more teams in the next years to come. So they're going to get to the same level of the NFL, 32 teams. They're going to have their own divisions, their own competition. And if the NBA is landing in Europe and we heritage this NBA Europe, it's going to be probably a similar product to the one we have already. That's the EuroLeague. What the NBA could help? Well, obviously the respectful brand, their experience in the business, the way they make promotion, marketing strategies, how attractive it's going to be for the new investors to be part of the NBA. All these things related to business, we have to learn about them. But the level of the competition, still the EuroLeague is going to be the second level. If we call it NBA Europe, it's going to be a second level. It's not like, having an NBA franchise in Europe that can compete against the other franchises. So in one way, it's like having a first division and second division. What is in the world? Uh, but with no promotion relegation, because the good thing about having first and second division, as we Europeans and in South America we're used to, is like if you perform very well, you're gonna get promoted to the first division. But here we create the NBA Europe, and Real Madrid wins the NBA Europe next season. We're not gonna make the jump into the NBA, and we're not gonna be one of those 32 franchises because we're talking about the NBA's closed leagues. So, well, the experience of how to manage a competition at the highest level, how to improve the product. Well, we welcome the NBA because they have more experience, they got knowledge, they got the contact, they got this capacity to attract new investors. And if they gonna move and push the new markets like Manchester, London, and others they're thinking about, welcome. But we need to get an agreement between the three parts. And as I said at the beginning, these political movements are part of what's going on today, and the dialogue is open. Let's see. Let's see what happens. I'm learning a lot. I'm talking to people, discussing, getting different experiences, different thoughts, different ideas. Even you remember we have a conversation with one guy from the federation and a lawyer who is an expert in the sports business. Uh, and almost everybody can add new ideas, suggestions, proposals, and they're all welcome. And if we can find the right way to do it, and we help the basketball to move it into the next level, for me, that's going to be a good news.
Yeah, I think really exciting. And the good thing is that when we joined the program, this particular thing is still evolving. So during the last 8, 9 months, we have also followed it and we have learned a lot. And we have seen how the two different continents operate. Uh, Time will tell. Hopefully, by next 1 or 2 years, we will know exactly how this evolves. But I wanted to get a sense that, we all know that not many teams in Europe are making money currently, basketball teams. And what NBA has done, whether uh, we see it positively or not so positively, but what NBA has done is made us think that how do we make more money? And EuroLeague has also now started thinking on those lines. They've got bigger sponsors, they got more capital. So I wanted to get a sense of what do teams think about it? Like they may choose to join or not to join, but uh, what's the inside news? Are they happy that something like this is happening? What do the players think? Like, do they think they'll get better opportunities? There'll be more competition with teams like London, Manchester, and other cities that we spoke about when they come in. There'll obviously be more players developed in those regions as well, more money coming in. So, are the clubs and the players actually happy that this thing is happening?
Hmm. That's a good question to ask them. All right, because you know that the players' union here in Europe is not as strong as the player unions in the United States. In the United States, when we're talking about the players' associations, they got a lot of power. They sit down together with the franchise owners and discuss about salaries, discuss about the salary cap, discuss about the benefits, discuss about retirement procedures, because they want to protect what they achieved for many years, and they have this idea. Fans are really engaged with the game and really engaged with the players. They are without them, this business is not existing. So they got agreements in which they get 51% or 52% of the total revenue that these leagues generates goes straight into salary of the players. Here in Europe, that's a different thing. The union of players is not as strong, and also one of the reasons is because many players come back and forth. You know, they go back and forth. They play in the NBA, come back to Europe, especially we're talking about big stars. So and we have players from different nations as well. In the United States, all of the players play for the NBA, and the NBA is a National Basketball Association for the United States, with the only exception of the Toronto Raptors. But all the players are fiscally living in the United States, and they pay taxes to the United States. Here in Europe, if you play for Real Madrid, you pay taxes in Spain. You are part of the Spanish environment. You're not playing only the Euro League, you also play your national league. So your status goes together with the status of the other players who play in your country. But then maybe you play in Italy, the status is different. You could play in Greece and the status is different. Even taxes, the tax system that we use is completely different. So to get an agreement and an association of European players fighting for the rights is a little bit more complicated. Obviously, if you're asking me about what the players think, well, players want higher salary, players get better contracts, players get more fans attending to the games. The owners of the clubs want more fans paying the tickets, and then want the TV broadcasters to pay higher fees for the TV rights. If once again, if the NBA, with their experience in business and with their contact and the new investors and their interest in growing in Europe, can help us to improve those business models, can help us to improve the process, that there's so many things we're doing well, but there's so many things that we could do better. That would be ideal. And I agree with you. I mean, most of the basketball clubs in Europe, they have debts, and their cost is higher than the revenue. But sometimes we need to look at sports also in terms of how much the club means for the city, for the fans, and for the country. Real Madrid is a brand that is a private brand, but how much Real Madrid does for the city of Madrid, to put the city of Madrid on the map, to attract tourists, to attract the attention of other countries. How much Panathinaikos and Olympiacos do for the city of Athens? Those are questions that are not tangible things, but sometimes we also have the support of those cities. Uh, I'm not a big fan of putting public money into private business, even if it's in sports. But sometimes the benefits need to be balanced. We need to consider those things when we open the discussion about which one are the markets, the European markets, that are more attractive. Because when you know the environment, you know what cities are these. If you know the culture and you know a little bit about the history of basketball in Europe, you know that Moscow, Athens, Istanbul, Madrid, Barcelona are Milan, Milan from Olympia Milano, are the cities where we have more fans, more tradition, more titles. But then the NBA is looking at markets that are close to the Commonwealth, like Manchester, London. They also look at which one are the strongest organizations, and the strongest organization in terms of sports in Europe are football clubs. So when they're thinking about Manchester, they're thinking about maybe Manchester United or Manchester City to open a basketball section such as Real Madrid or Barcelona. But we don't know if Manchester City and Manchester United are going to be interested in this, because it's diversify your business and get into a sport environment that you are not familiar with. So it's a big risk. We need to put the focus where our business is, and the business of Manchester City is in the multi property that they've got. They got football in many different countries, but they're not experts in basketball. So it could be a big risk, and we don't know if they're going to be interested. But once again, I mean, this is a learning process. Why not? Let's
Yeah, I think
contribute.
yeah, I think it's really interesting, but there's so many, I think, so many layers to everything that you said. Also because I think, like, also as you said, the strongest sports properties in Europe are football clubs. The idea, or let's say the culture of football is relegation and promotion, which is already different. I think EuroLeague, at least the fans of EuroLeague, they understand a bit better the concept of a closed league, because it's how it's been doing. And then there's as you said, there's the license A, but there's also the invitations that they bring some different clubs for different reasons, right? Like it can be the power of the city, like Valencia with the most modern arena nowadays, and so on. and maybe like the risk also going to Manchester where they want the football clubs to do it, and then you put it into a closed league, and maybe then other cities and clubs, let's say in Lithuania, for example, which is huge basketball, and even here in Victoria in Spain with Baskonia, city is much smaller and with less power, but with a strong basketball history as well. Uh, this I think this is one of the things that comes to my mind of like this is going to be tough if they want to put a closed league completely, looking for the markets, and as you said, other cities with the history, it's tough. And even if you were mentioning like Manchester City, I was just also thinking that well, the owners are Abu Dhabi, right? And Abu Dhabi, they bought the EuroLeague, the Final Four every other year, right? And they bring the NBA games over there. They're trying also to create like this Abu Dhabi basketball feeling even stronger now with Dubai basketball in a city nearby, playing the EuroLeague. So many layers like to this whole topic that it's just for me it's just crazy sometimes.
Yeah, it's exciting, isn't it? You know, it's
Yeah,
we changing the model as we used to know it. That for me, the most interesting thing is, can we manage to get the best of every part? NBA, we know how successful is NBA and how much we all basketball fans love the NBA and how much excitement is bringing to the game, and is the reference of everyone. All right, in terms of basketball, but then is our own culture and our own heritage. So copying the same system, the same structure in Europe is very risky. And this things that was a discussion, well, a conversation that I have with NBA executives every time that we talk about uh, European championships, but not just European championships, also Olympic Games, World Championship, and how much excitement this is bringing. When they tell me one thing that we envy in the NBA from Europe is the passion of the fans, and that passion without the promotion relegation system could be something that maybe didn't exist at the same time. Even the EuroLeague, when it was created with these teams of license A, they got guaranteed a spot in the EuroLeague for years to come. Well, they include the wild cards. They include that the winner of the second most successful competition in Europe is going to have an invitation next season to participate. That's the reason why Valencia is in the EuroLeague, because Valencia at the beginning they didn't have the license, but since they put together a very exciting and very successful business model. They create the best infrastructures in basketball in Europe. Well, we welcome to have Valencia. And they play the Final Four this season. And they are in the finals of the Spanish ACB League against Barcelona because, well, we're not going to talk about how well we performed at Real Madrid because we finished number one in regular season and then we lost in the quarterfinals. That was a disaster for us. This is a bad season for Real Madrid in football and basketball. So we better look into the future than into the present. These projects such as Valencia, well, we want to have these projects on board because they're going to add value to the whole ecosystem. And that's what we want. We want to create value because in the end, what we want is more kids playing basketball, more kids watching basketball, and those kids that start playing basketball now are going to be the future fans, the ones who are going to pay for the tickets, the ones who are going to attend the games, the ones who are going to buy the merchandise, the ones who are going to pay for the different platforms to watch TV, to watch NBA on TV or watch EuroLeague on TV. So we need to motivate more people to watch the game. And the better the projects are, the easier it's going to be to convince kids to grab the basketball and play the game on their courts.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I can say that this one from Valencia, we actually had also the opportunity through the NBA to go to Valencia and to see the facilities, and it's really incredible how many courts they have, how many or how much the city is actually involved into the project, and I would say the same for Victoria with Baskonia, and yeah, having these sort of projects definitely make a good impact on the league and in the sport in the continent for sure.
Yeah.
100%. And will not surprise me that if Valencia organize a EuroLeague Final Four really soon.
Yeah. I think that shows the visit to these locations showed us the passion and the involvement of the community. But I like the two words you used, Juan. One was balance. The balance between the business that US knows and the culture that Europe knows and is very good at. So you cannot really place that model of business into this model in Europe because it may not work. You need to have a good blend of business and culture, and the importance of understanding how people in Europe treat their clubs is very different to how people in US treat the franchisees. So I really like that word. And then second thing you mentioned was that we are in a very interesting phase. I agree. We can go on about this, but I would like to switch to another interesting topic, which is Juan Carlos Focinos. We know you, Juan, as a professor, as a professional. We have spent so much time with you, spoken to you about business, sponsorship, hubs, motivations, etc. But we would love to know, how is Juan as a person? How are you as a parent? How are you when you're at home? What do you like to do? What do you like to eat? Where do you like to travel? How are you with your friends? So we would like to know a little bit about you as a human being.
Okay, well, this is the time when people watching switch off, okay, and then try to do other things because I don't think they're going to be very much interested in what I'm doing. But try to be a good father, of course. But the ones you need to ask is my kids. Um, Probably if they talk about me as a father, they're gonna tell you that I was a very strict father when they were young, somebody who you can talk to, but I'm gonna be very demanding for my kids. I know life is difficult. I'm not gonna make life more difficult to my kids that it is, but I'm gonna try for them to understand how difficult it is. I'm a family man, and I want the family. I want to put family first. So all my decisions, whether they are personal or professional, are going to be family orientated. So I'm not going to make decisions that are going to put my family environment into a risk. That's first. When I say family, it's not just my family, me and my kids and my wife, but it's also my brothers, my nephews, my niece, my mother. So if you like something that I heard once in one of my favorite movies, that was the Godfather. It says that a good man is the one who never forget about the family. You can make mistakes, but you can put your family first. And for me, this is. And then if we go a little bit further, so I try to make my friends also part of my family. And sometimes even, you probably heard that in my classes, my students are at a different level, of course, but I always use one of the examples um, that is not Rudy Tunyane, Popovich, the former coach of the San Antonio Spurs, when he was coaching Kawhi Leonard. Okay,
Hmm.
and Kawhi Leonard became the MVP player of the finals when they won the championship with Popovich as a coach. But then the relationship between the two of them was broken. Kawhi Leonard was not happy, and Popovich couldn't do much about keeping him in the franchise, and he decided to move. And when they were asking Kawhi Leonard the reasons why he moved, he mentioned something like Popovich was very demanding. He was asking Kawhi doing things he was not able to do anymore, and the relationship was broken at that time. And then when they were asking Popovich what happened, he said, I will yell at you. I will ask you to go into the next level because I care about you. The moment I stop yelling at you and the moment I stop demanding things from you means I do not care. And that's when relationship get broken because the other person thinks that he's yelling at me because he doesn't like me or he's yelling at me because he's too demanding. No, the reason I'm yelling at you is because I know how good you are. I know how much you can get. And then you don't understand the relationship in this way anymore. And we're going to break. That's why sometimes it's the same thing. The relation between father and son, father and daughter, mother and daughter, or professor or student. I'm very demanding because I know you can move it into the next level. If you are not able to accept that I'm yelling and I'm going to be strict at some point, well, we have the risk that this relation is going to broken. But it doesn't broken the success is going to move it to the next level. And regarding to, the other things that I do in life, well, I love, I'm a Real Madrid member. So I go to football games, I go to basketball games. I practice sports. I like basketball a lot, but I broke my knee last year, and I do not practice as much as I want. So I move into other sports like cycling, swimming, golfing. Uh, so I want to keep the balance. I don't want to, as I said before, I don't want to get retired just to spend all my time doing these things and traveling. But I want to keep this balance of teaching, being a consultant in the business, and then practicing sports. Sports is all my life, so I, I practice sports anytime that I have the opportunity, and if I can do it with friends and family, well, even better.
Yeah. It's interesting you mentioned family because this is my first time to Spain. I had never been to Spain before. I've been to other parts of Europe, and I thought there perhaps will not be any similarities between India and Europe. But there are three very distinct similarities that I see between India and Spain. That's why I feel so close and attached to Spain. Number one is, like you said, you are a family person. You like to be close to your family, which I see a lot of Spaniards do, and a lot of Indians also do. We are also very close to family, and I'm sure Rafa can add if that's the same with Brazil. But second thing is, uh, one is family. Second is, yeah, eating food late. So I think rest of Europe eats at 12 o'clock. They have their lunch, and 7 o'clock they have their dinner. But you have lunch at 3. India, we have lunch at 2:33, something like that. And the third thing is, which is not something I'm proud of, is Indians are usually late for meetings. Spaniards are sometimes late for meetings. So there are these three similarities. I don't know how it is in Brazil. Is it similar in Brazil,
Worse.
Rafa? Worse?
It's worse.
Brazil is the worst. Is the
Yeah.
worst. In that sense, I cannot say a thing. But yeah.
Okay.
Well, imagine a meeting between a guy from India, a Brazilian, and a Spaniard.
We
Who's
are
going
on
to be
It actually
last?
worked. It actually
But
worked
the
out.
meeting is canceled.
Yeah.
Nobody shows up.
Nobody shows up.
Yeah,
Good.
I agree about those similarities. Eating late is not something that I recommend. So we still doing it. But the most important thing about eating from the Spanish perspective is that for us, the lunchtime or dinner time is not just eating; it's a meeting, it's a reunion. Could be with family, could be with friends. If you are all alone, when I'm home alone, all right, because my kids are not or my wife is not are not at home, I don't eat as late as I used to. Because it's a family reunion. So sometimes we wait for dinner until everybody's home, is home, or everybody's not busy. And when the kids are coming from school, it's much easier. But when the kids going out with friends and then come late, well, sometimes it's a good idea to wait for them, and then we have a meal together. And with friends, same thing. Here in Spain, restaurants open till late. Sometimes the kitchen is not closed until 11 p.m. because people get out of work and go out for dinner. So if you finish work at 8 and then you get together at 9, you're going to start having dinner at 9, 9:30, maybe 10. So you finish by 10:30 or 11. But not because you are hungry at that time. It's because it's a meeting. It's a reunion. It's the eating is part of the reason why we're here. And the main reason is we want to spend time together, and we're going to put some food on the plate. And that's the most important thing for me, because eating late is not healthy, and we know that. So, but sometimes health is not just about what you're eating. Health is also here in your brain. So you need to be a happy person. You need to talk to people. And at the same time, you're talking and you're drinking a beer or you're drinking a glass of wine and you're eating a good food. Well, that's going to make you happy. And that sometimes is better than your healthy habits. That if you're not a happy person and you don't interact with other people, having dinner at 5 and going to bed and not talking to anybody, and going to work the following day, waking up at 6:30, going running by yourself, go to work in front of your computer, not talking to people, not having these meetings. That's why, people from the Mediterranean habits and Brazilians and South American people, we may be eating late and not having those healthy habits, but we're happier than people that have dinner at 5. That's for sure.
I think it's really interesting. Like also, I mean, to to talk about some of this difference because it actually really applies to sports as well, right? Like even the way how you talking about being a Real Madrid member, usually people here in Spain they wait until almost last minute to get inside the stadium because they're also out sometimes like having a beer, having a drink, with their friends, with the family, whoever is they're joining the game together. And I think if you're in the business, I think this is really important to understand, like how you're going to do it. So if we're talking about even the partners, sponsorships, and the activations that we're going to do, who we need to find, how we need to communicate to these fans, this is a big deal out of it to actually make everything happen.
Yeah, agree 100%. We need to adapt to the culture. We also need to change some habits, that's for sure. I mean, evolution is part of it. The new generations are not exactly the same as the old generation. So it's not like accepting everything 100%, but we need to adapt. We need to understand why people do certain things and then make, as Amit said before, the balance, getting the balance between things we do in our own country and the right things to do based on other experiences. And there is room for everything. I think that this is a learning process for everybody.
Cool. I think we're going towards the end as well of this conversation. It's been great. We touched a lot of things even beyond the sports. But we also towards the end of our masters or of our program. That yeah, it's been a great experience overall for sure. Also, as Amit said, his first time in Spain, so it was a very holistic experience, I would say, for most of the students, and new people are coming as well. Would you have some advice for people, for new students, or for people who want to get into the sports industry? I think now it's the time. It's a very exciting moment. Like we were also talking so much about the things that are happening in basketball. So usually when things change, it's opportunity shows up as well. So
Definitely.
yeah.
This is going to sound familiar to you. Maybe some of the students don't like it, but advice number one, if I have to give any, is the same I gave you back in October when you start this program. Learn Spanish. Because and this is part of the culture, this is part of the attitude. When you are in a country for the first time, when you're going to spend 1 year of your life in a new place, make the effort to learn the language. That means you care about the others. That means you care about the culture. That means that you're open to learn. And it's not about how fluent you are, it's about your attitude. It's not about how many skills you got in the language, because nobody's going to evaluate your level of Spanish when you finish the program. It's about the attitude. It's about how open your mind is to make an effort, because it's difficult. Learning a language is difficult. And for you guys, if you study an MBA program in English, it's even more difficult because everybody in the class speaks English. And the easy thing to do is talk in English or talk to people who speak your native language. And the difficult thing to do is the learning process of another language. And if you're able to make that effort, then it's going to pay back. Not just because you learn another language, that is always good, but it's about how the others are going to see in yourself the effort you made to do something that is very difficult. And it's never late. Some of you say, well, Juan Carlos, we are about to finish. We're in June. Well, stay a little bit longer, or even go back to your country and say, I'm going to learn the language back in my country by studying, going, doing lessons, joining people. I mean, if you go back to India, it's going to be easier for you. Well, easier or not, but at least you may try. Spanish people who live in India and then try to get close to them and say, hey, I live 1 year in your country. I want to keep that connection. Let's get together and let's practice a little bit. That's advice number one. Advice number two is be patient.
Mhm.
Because when you finish a master's program, you want to enter in the market right away. Some of you achieve that very fast. Some others don't. So be patient, not just in order to enter the sport industry, but also to, once you enter, be patient enough to wait for your opportunity to be in the spot you really like. Because sometimes you're gonna enter in the sport industry in an area you are not very comfortable, but it takes time. So be patient. And number three, remember that listening is always more important than talking, even if you have a lot of things to say. But in this market, listen to people, try to understand what they want, try to understand what their needs are, and then you're going to be in a good position to offer them what they want. But if you don't listen and you just try to put your ideas out there without caring about what others' needs are, then sometimes it's a big mistake goes against us. So those three things are basic things, that apply for probably any industry, but in sports is so important, in my opinion, of course. And when I said listening, my advice would be listening to other people as well. Okay, because maybe if you have this interview with somebody else, they're going to give you different advices, and you like those advices better than mine. What is perfectly fine for me, because the more people you listen to, the more stories you heard, the better for you to build your own, because you are all special, all different, and we expect that you bring a lot to this market, because in the end, it's the sport industry, very attractive, but it's just a small world. All right,
Mhm.
the sport industry is just very small. We're gonna see each other in the future, and hopefully, I'm gonna see you in a very good positions, and then we have the opportunity to have this kind of conversation in the future.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much, Juan. I'll just like to very quickly thank you for sharing those three pearls of wisdom. I totally agree. I think patience is one thing which I think I was born with somehow. Uh, learning a language, I've been trying to learn the language, but I think amongst the entire batch, I'm the one who has the biggest disadvantage. Can anybody guess why I have the biggest disadvantage? No? Okay. I am the only married guy in the batch, and every other guy made a girlfriend and learned from the girlfriend. I cannot do that. So I struggled with
Not me,
Spanish.
not me.
Not you.
That's a
Okay.
good strategy. That's always a good strategy.
No, but yeah, I am learning. I am still learning, and I will not give up. I love the language. So I'm going to be able to speak hopefully in the next 4 5 months. I won't give up. So yeah, thanks again, Juan, for the three pearls of wisdom.
Okay, muchas
All
gracias,
right.
chicos, and congratulations for this initiative to these meetings and reunions you're having with experts from the industry. Good luck, and don't lose the contact. Okay, stay in touch in the future, not just with me, with the other professors, with the other students, with the students from other master's programs, and try to get connections with alumni, and try to contribute to make this master better, because for the new generations, the better the master is, the better for you as well. You're part of this. We are family now. All the alumni and the people who contribute to this master program, we are on the same boat, and we need to build together.
Yeah.
For sure, for sure. Well, yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. It was it was a great conversation, and I hope to see all of you again in the future in the same room, like here, even if it's digital. And yeah, thank you, Juan. Thank you, Amit, as well. I think this is Let's close it off around here, and yeah, stay tuned for more episodes and our channels as well. All
Sure.
right, thank you.
Muchas
Bye.
gracias. Adiós.
Muchas gracias. Ciao, ciao.